Baghdad batteries. Alright? Why
Excavation site in the old village of Kajut Rabu, close to Baghdad. The village is said to be 2,000 years old and was...
Okay, so these batteries were buried 2,000 years ago, and we've seen Leyden jars in a lot of hieroglyphs. And it seems weird that American archaeologists don't want to tell us this stuff, and it's always a foreign archaeologist that comes up with a theory that's wild, but it makes sense. So it seems like America's the biggest liar.
And inside was a piece of rolled copper. Then inside the copper was a thin rod of iron.
Okay, that's exactly what it is.
The unusual vessel showed some sort of corrosion, and early tests confirmed that an acidic agent like vinegar or wine may have been present before.
Okay, so that's obvious.
Sometimes
It's a battery.
small unusual pods stayed in storage because archaeologists weren't sure what they were.
Now here's some Leyden jars, and there's a whole bunch of them in a lot of hieroglyphs. So it seems they were hidden 2,000 years ago because they were suppressing the technology of the Catholic churches. When they started fresh and suppressed all the technology, started the Vatican and all that, that's when these were buried.
Usual pods stayed in storage because archaeologists weren't sure what they were.
No, they were sure.
That is, until German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig suggested a controversial theory. He examined the unusual pots and proposed that they could be ancient electric batteries.
That's what they are.
Koenig observed it's possible the pots were used as a galvanic cell for electroplating either silver or gold items. If proven real, it could predate the invention of the electrochemical cell by more than 1,000 years.
Oh, no, they're a lot older than that.
By 1940, an engineer from General Electric's high-voltage laboratory, Willard Gray, tested Koenig's theory. He replicated the battery setup using a copper sulfate solution, and according to his test, it generated half a volt of electricity. Another experiment hoping to prove the functionality of the battery was then done in the 70s. This time by German Egyptologist Arne Eggebrecht. He also rebuilt the Baghdad battery, but used freshly pressed grape juice.
See, they're never Americans that do this stuff for some reason. And that reason is the suppression of the ancient technology.
7 volts of electricity, which he then used to electroplate a small silver statuette with gold. However, many experts have disputed his experiment and were unable to replicate it. What's more is no written papers about it have been found, and no photos were used to document it.
So they're just suppressing things that the Catholic churches have hidden in the Vatican. See, this is basically what it is. And this is kind of like an earth battery. And you can take aluminum foil and pennies and make this and get half a volt. If you use zinc and aluminum foil, you get 0.7 volts. So you get 1.4 volts, 1.5 volts when you make 2 small cells from zinc and aluminum foil. And that's what I was doing on my energy video that I got a lot more of those videos, but that was just the one that I found through all my stuff. See, I've made a lot of Leyden jars, and you can wrap your foil around here. You could literally make a capacitor around it, and it takes electrons from the copper or the foil, however you want to set your configuration, basically, and you can make a capacitor. That's basically what it is. It's a water capacitor or electrolytic capacitor. See, this is like a relay here. Now, you could turn one into a relay system. Now, this is just, I'm just throwing this out there. It kind of looks like a microphone to me. I'm just throwing that out, like I said. And here's the 33rd parallel, or basically the world grid, or part of the world grid. And they're all 6,666 kilometers apart. Wow, check that out. It's Sputnik. Haha. No, it seems like this person had the star power. This power. They had the ability to do godly things because they probably had devices. All this electrical stuff on their bodies were conductive. They could conduct like electrostatic energy from this wireless pyramid. This wireless transferring of power from this pyramid. And it made them quote unquote gods. Now, I think this is an obvious depiction. Now, this is just my theory, but when it talks about the hawk, okay, this is the air. This is the energy you see from the air. That's why it's this bird, okay? The ankh, that's the ark, that's the power. That's the ark, that's the power. This God has that power, okay? This is the star, this is the sun, this is the wireless energy. This is the star that's created in this chamber. That's the ankh, that's the power. See what I'm saying? See, all this stuff keeps coinciding. I mean, it's just a theory, but it fits too damn well. So whenever they say we got air, you know, that's an antenna. That's the energy. That's the energy, the atmospheric energy that's received from the air. Like you would put an antenna in the air to receive radio frequencies, okay? And then whenever it's a ground, it's always something that comes out of the ground that represents the ground. So they knew what electricity was, and they're trying to tell us because they didn't speak the same language. It's not like they could just write it all down because they don't know what language people are going to be speaking later. So what they can do is just put it in depictions to see if we can understand it, but it seems like the people that understand it want to suppress all this truth and leave others to fight and argue and bitch and moan, so it causes problems. Instead of just coming out and telling us what we deserve to know, so we can quit fighting and arguing and get on with our fucking lives. Now this is Persepolis. To me, that obviously looks like a power plant, a modern power plant. Okay, this looks like a plasma orb right here. They knew what plasma was. It wasn't the Egyptians that built this stuff. These people predate the Egyptians. They're the ones that built it over 10,000, 13,000 years ago. And the pyramids are well over 10,000 years old, at least. At least. At a bare minimum, they're about 6,000 to 8,000 years old. I mean, there was no water in the desert. This is a dead giveaway. When you have water erosion in somewhere where there's no water, obviously you can only have that water erosion. This is a solid dead giveaway. You know, this is solid evidence. If we know this place was a desert for thousands of years, then obviously the water erosion had to come before it was a desert. That means, literally, it had to be there well over 4,000 years ago. And that is solid evidence. That's not just, oh, well, that's just some circumstantial evidence. That's not circumstantial at all. That is solid. That's Earth weather. I mean, I know that we can't necessarily predict our weather with our satellites anymore and all this, but we know this place was a desert. It's been pretty consistent. This is a consistency here. And I don't understand why they won't consider this at all. That's just a maybe. Give me a fucking break. Seriously? You're just trying to hide something. This right here is an electrical diagram telling us this is what this is. This is a diagram of this. Alright? Look, he's got the ankh. He's got that power. More ankh. They got this power. Look, there's the red star over their head. There's the star again. There's an ankh hanging from it. There's the hot, the energy that you're going to receive from the air. See, these snakes represent coils, in my opinion. Alright? And these can literally be translated into electrical symbols if you know anything about electricity. Like here's the ankh. This ankh is energy or the power. So then you have your plasma here, the energy, the fire. You know, that's what this is. That right there is what this is. All this plasma here that they would probably say, oh, that represents water. Okay, that represents water. I see no water in this thing. This looks like an electrical device to me. It looks like, these look kind of like parking meters to me, but regardless, this right here looks like a plasma orb, and I'm sure these aren't parking meters. These got transformers and electrical components in them. All right, now this is what is said. Between the avenue of the Sphinxes stood two generators, A and B. A is sending, B is receiving. Between these two antennas, a solitron or vortex field is generated. It is on this field that the heavy building blocks were carried. See, this looks like a transformer. Okay, these are the scepters, you know. And you have a transmitter and a receiver. That's exactly what this pyramid did. It transmitted and received energy to things like this and small devices like this that were like scepters that these people had power from. And it, you know, obviously if they were part of a special elite group, like we have our elite today, then they were the ones that had this power. They were the ones that qualified. They were the ones that had it when other people didn't. So they were considered gods. But they took care of their people. And we're even seeing that now. Funny though, thousands of years ago they took care of their people, and now it's all about money and they don't give a shit about the people. Funny how evolution works. We de-evolve at some point, no matter how much we progress. Well, here's a good example of what I'm trying to say too. When I was talking about the singularity being the first cell in the universe. Look, this is an ovum right here. Okay? This looks just like a star. This is a moon transitioning the sun. Or transiting the sun. This is an eclipse. This is pretty much what it looks like. Now, if you have nuclear and electric energy, you're going to have your nucleus, which is the nucleus, that's the nuclear energy, and then you have your electrical energy. Okay? That's going to be exactly what this is. The singularity was literally the first cell in the universe. It was a quantum cell. It was huge, and it was pure energy. And that's all that it does. It transitions from energy into matter, back into energy, back into matter, back into energy, back into matter, over trillions of years. And every time it's transitioned back into matter, that's a universe. That universe reduces back into energy. It turns into another singularity, transitions back into matter. It reduces back into energy. Turns back into another singularity, transitions back into matter. It does this forever, and it's the same finite amount of energy because nuclear and electric energy can't be created nor destroyed. All they can do is transform. And the space, the surrounding space, is always there. It just is. It's not made or erased at all. It just is. Space just is. See, here's a depiction of that star giving them wireless energy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but all this stuff seems to make sense to me. It makes more sense than anything I've ever been told or read before. And I had to put it all together myself. I had to literally forget what I was being told and just think for myself. I mean, literally, I just started thinking for myself and started putting it together myself. And this is the answers that I come up with. And it makes way more sense than all this bullshit that's been fed to us. See? All these megaliths right here. All these megaliths are the same distance, and they're on the same line. Now here's an infamous depiction. That's obviously a transformer. This is obviously light or some kind of bulb or whatever it is. This snake represents this electricity will bite you, okay? This will bite you. If you touch it, oh, you're going to get bitten. You're going to get electrical shock. And I believe that's what the heads of the snakes mean. Or whenever it talks about when you've got the head of a snake, it's being bitten. I mean, what happens when you get shocked? I mean, it feels like you got bit. And it looks like there's wiring coming out right here. I mean, come on. I mean, give me a break. Seriously? These people didn't have a language, didn't have any technology. I mean, they were primitive nuttards, fucktards, idiots, dipshits, whatever. I mean, seriously? These people did shit that we can't do now. We can't replicate shit now. We're just now getting into where we are studying plasma and starting to get into quantum computing and stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, there's been people saying this stuff for years, and they're crazy, and now things are coming to light, and they're still trying to figure this stuff out without having to expose this truth, and that kills me. Why don't they just go ahead and tell us this stuff so they can go ahead and advance in the technology? Ironically, here's the atomic structure of gold. Looks like Metatron's cube, the Merkaba, the divine light vehicle. Mer means light, Ka means spirit, Ba means body. Okay? So you have your light, spirit, body. It sounds more like the singularity turning into matter. Energy and matter together, which is plasma. This is a fact. This is a well-known fact. This isn't just a theory. This is a fact. So why can't people just believe in facts? I just don't understand that. Oh, that's right. People are indoctrinated not to believe in facts. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Now this right here is kind of right and kind of wrong. It's talking about a contracting universe and an expanding universe. Okay, we know our universe is spreading out, but the contracting universe in some kind of other dimension or some shit, that's kind of overthinking it. The thing is, when it contracts, that's when everything has reduced and it wants to come in together to form a new singularity. It's accretion of a singularity. That's where everybody's getting the contraction and the time working in reverse. That's where those are misconceptions. That's where they come from. See, like I was saying about space being an open system, and there's a closed system inside it, which is the matter in the universe. This is when it's starting to accrete back into a singularity. That's when all the carbon, the ash traces, and the nuclear and electric energy start to recreate a singularity. Okay? Time isn't necessarily working in reverse. The matter is working in reverse. In a way, the universe is going backwards, but this is still forward progression. See what I'm saying? It's not actually working backwards. It's still progressing in linear fashion. But the thing is, right now, time doesn't exist unless you can actually measure all this and how long this is actually going to take. Then we can actually apply measurement to it. Unless we can do that, there's not going to be any time. It's just timeless space and timeless accretion. Now here's the Eye of Ra, or the Eye of Horus. Okay, this represents that star. Alright, see, Horus was the ancient Egyptian sky god. The sky, the energy from the sky, the bird, remember? Okay, the sky god, who was usually depicted as a falcon. There's the bird, the falcon, the sky, the energy from the sky. Most likely a lanner or peregrine falcon. His right eye was associated with the sun god Ra. The eye symbol represents the marking around the eye of the falcon, including the teardrop marking sometimes found below the eye. The mirror image or left eye sometimes represented the moon or the god Genuti or Thoth. Okay? Oh, here's another 6. Different parts of the Eye of Horus were thought to be used by the ancient Egyptians to represent 1 divided by the first 6 powers of 2. Another 6. Just like the 6 degrees of freedom and all the 6s that I found. See? Here's the Eye of Ra. Looks like an ovum, doesn't it? It's that red star. And the reason it's red is because it's fusing H4 and ionized hydrogen into lithium. And that will make a red star. A red microstar. It's like a brown dwarf. Type T brown dwarf. I think this is a beautiful representation of a nebula and what the singularity would look like in space if literally we could see it. Compared to all the infinite space, it would just be a small glowing dot. But if we zoomed way in on it, it would be freaking huge. But if we got way back on the macrocosm, it's just a little dot. And there's a misconception. That's why there's like, oh, it had all the mass in the universe, but it was only this big. Well, that's why. It had all the mass in the universe. It was big when you get on this cosm. When you get on this macrocosm, it's just a dot. And, of course, cosms are just pseudoscience, you know. Oh, that's pseudoscience. Although we know it's a factual piece of evidence. See, there it is again. And this is a representation of Thoth. See? There's the Eye of Ra. It's on this pedestal. Come over here. It's on this pedestal. The Eye of Ra. It's telling us something. See what I'm saying? Look, I got a good gift for pattern recognition. I can think outside the box very well. I can see. I can read in between the lines. I'm telling you. It's just my belief. This is just me, okay? But I'm just trying to open people's eyes. I'm just trying to at least give people another option to use, to think with. To think, maybe the government might be lying to us. Maybe it is all bullshit. You know? Just trying to awaken some people. Give them a new point of view or a different perspective. Because it's not our evidence that's wrong. It's our perspective that's completely fucked up. See? This is a thermoelectric generator. This is the Ark of the Covenant. This is basically where Aaron's rods come into play. Now this right here, this is the falcon. Okay? Representing the hot, the snake bite, the bite that will get you, you know, the coils of energy. So this right here is hot. See, this is the hot side. This is the cold side. Okay? This is the hot side that will bite you. This is the cold side. This is the hot side that they could get, that you would get from the air. This is the antenna energy. This is the static energy from the sky. Okay? So you can get stereoelectric or stereometric pressures from the atmosphere. So when you look at this, which has a cathode and anode on the top, and a red lithium star in the middle, or an arc that's very hot, you would have your alpha and omega. And Aaron's rods, like I said, the control rods, this ironically looks like nuclear rods. And ironically, Aaron's rods were held in the Ark of the Covenant. How ironic is that? I'm just saying, all these ironic coincidences can't just be coincidence. See, when I said these are thermoelectric generators, the pyramids, we use computer parts with thermoelectric generators. Ironically, the pyramids look like computers. And thermoelectric generators coincide with them. So it seems like even the design, even the material this is made of is thermoelectric properties. Okay? And you have a hot side and a cold side. It just seems too damn ironic. Plus, it's a pyramid socket 9131. I mean, come on. Oh yeah, by using all this stuff, I'm just saying, I found this void. I theorized this void had to exist about 8 months, close to a year before they even found it. So how would I know that that void was there? How would I know? How did I know that? Well, all I did was use the evidence and figured there had to be a resonance chamber here. There had to be. See, here we go again. Here's some more depictions of this arc. In my opinion, that is exactly what that is, and these are Aaron's rods. It's a thermoelectric capacitor, and this looks just like capacitor plates, or rods. This is just a theory now. I think that there's a large one under the Sphinx. The Sphinx is the heat sink, okay? So this would be either the hot side getting energy somehow, or it's the cold side. But I believe it's the cold side because I think that this is a heat sink, that the Sphinx itself is absorbing heat, and that there is a giant one under it, and all of these highways that are there, which I predicted that a long time ago too, because like on the bottom of a motherboard you have all the solder points and all the little highways. There had to be all these little connection points under Giza, and now they're starting to find them. Again, how did I know that? How did I know that? But I'm just using common sense and logic, and I'm piecing the stuff together, because you can get information, you can theorize with the information you have. You don't have to sit around and wait for the smoking gun. You can put the shit together and come up with a theory and predict what's going to be found next, and predict what will happen next. And lo and behold, all I did was just put the stuff together and predicted it. Just like predicting water on Mars, just like predicting an Earth-like planet in the Sirius or not the Sirius constellation, but in the Proxima Centauri constellation. You know, Proxima Centauri Proxima Centauri b, Alpha Centauri. I mean, the only way I consider that, basically, all I figured was, if there is any kind of alien species, if there is, they would have to come at least, a bare minimum, from the closest star. That would be Proxima Centauri. So there would have to be an Earth-like planet, a habitable planet somewhere at the closest star constellation. There would have to be, the closest star would have to have some kind of habitable planet. If there's any kind of aliens that have came to this planet, they'd at least have to come from the closest point. Just a logical theory, you know. Wow, ironically, last year they found a Earth-like planet orbiting Proxima Centauri. So how did I know that? Again, I'm just putting stuff together logically. So I'm trying to let people know this stuff ahead of time, because they're going to figure this out eventually. And I just want people to know that I'm not crazy. And I want people to know where they heard it first, because I'm sick of being called a lunatic. Here we go again. This guy has that star power. There's the red star. It's, I don't know which one this is. It's not Thoth. It might be Ra, Sekhmet, something like that. Anyway, he's got his staff, his scepter. This guy's bringing him some jars, I don't know, whatever. Regardless, he's got that star power. Star power. Mario, hello. I'm telling you, man. The film industry, video games, all of this stuff is all based off of these ancient truths. The Catholic Church owns the world, okay? They have suppressed this stuff. They own the film industry. They own the video game industry. They own it all, okay? They own it all. And all of the stuff that we have is based off of all this ancient truth. This is what gives us all these ideas for these movies and video games and all of that. Certain people with that that special obligation get in the Vatican and look up things and look up history and check stuff out and get ideas, when most people are just kind of blinded. So like I said, the motherboard, your CPU, North Bridge, South Bridge processor. That's all you got. Pretty obvious. Seems like our motherboards and technology are based off of ancient facts that the Vatican has let us know, or let somebody see, or used, or applied, or something. Or we just naturally, as humans, do the same thing over and over and over and not even realize it. So I'm just throwing out a theory, but it seems to me more than just a theory. Alright, I'm just trying to, like I said, awaken some people. Maybe some people actually see exactly what I'm seeing. I hope so. And I just hope that you can kind of spread the word. Now, I'm not much for saying, oh, like my videos and all that, but I would appreciate it if you could help me get the word out, please.